Hello, I'm Sarah Abel and welcome to the Marriage Challenge brought to you by Care for the Family. Today my special guests are Steve and Rebekah Legg. Now, for anyone who doesn't know them, let me tell you a little bit about them. They've been married 7 years and Steve is the editor of Sorted and he travels around doing his comedy magic shows, is that right?
I certainly do, yes, very good.
And Rebekah is the editor of Liberty magazine and she also does PR for Compassion. They have 6 children between them, 3 each from previous relationships.
Close.
Oh, nearly. Oh, I got the maths wrong.
Have another
Okay,
go.
should we do 2 and 4?
Yes.
Brilliant. And age between 12 and 22. Is that
That's
right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Brilliant. So today we're going to talk about some of the challenges of bringing 2 families together and what that means for your relationship particularly. But before we get on to that, what I'd love to know is how did the 2 of you first meet?
Been married for 5 years. My missus went off with someone else. Had 4 kids together. And Care for the Family put on a single parent holiday down to Spring Harvest in France. And I went with my 4 kids. And me and this fellow called Alan were there with about 30 women who were all single with kids. And sitting by the swimming pool one day, saw this babe in a blue bikini with a couple of kids. I've been very brave. I sent a friend over to ask her some questions, find out if she was single. We found out she was. And at the pub quiz later in the week, I asked her to join our pub quiz team. And the rest is history.
It was love over the pub quiz.
It was. Oh, the swimming pool to start with. Now, would you like to embellish this, darling?
I could just continue it. I think so far you've been
Everything's been very accurate.
very accurate, very well done. He normally leaves out the bit where he sent his friend over. So we got chatting at this pub quiz.
You were there with your kids and your mum.
I was there, yeah. So I wasn't there with Care for the Family, I was there with my mum. And she'd sent me and said, look, I'll look after the children, you go and have an evening off. So I'd gone up, we were chatting. And just did that whole thing where you chat and get talking. I said, what do you do? He told me he was a magician and I laughed. Went, no, not really. What do you do? He said, no, really. I was like, oh, straight face. And we just got talking about where we lived and all these things. And I just said, well, if ever in your travels you're my way, give me a call and we can do dinner. Not really ever thinking it would happen. Of course, at which point he said, oh, well, I'm there in a fortnight. And I said, well, that's a date then. And then spent the next 2 weeks panicking because I actually barely knew this man. But so that was it really. We were married about a year and a couple of months later.
I'm imagining that there were some challenges as you sort of set up home together and as you embarked on your life together with the 6 children.
I think it was very exciting to start with, wasn't it? Because our kids at the time were probably 6 years ago.
They were 6 to 60 or 5 to 15 at that point, weren't they?
Yes, it was all very exciting and fresh and new for them all and mixing them. So it's 1 boy, 5 girls. So the girls were more or less sort of in together and it was quite an adventure to start with, wasn't it?
It was. I think
it's still an adventure. It sounds like a but is coming.
It was an adventure.
It's not anymore.
It still is. No, I think we were very. I think without necessarily thinking about it enough, we did the right things, and we're very lucky. Very fortunate that we did that. So it involved a huge move for me and my 2 children, my girls. We moved, from the West Country to Sussex. But what I think worked really, really well for us was that I then we were in a position where I didn't need to work too much for the first couple of months. I did a little bit of work from home, had to travel once or twice, but basically I was at home. And I think it just meant, and Steve works from home anyway, apart from when he's travelling, and it meant that we were just there and we had that kind of ability to put all our attention on creating family. And I think that made a huge difference, being able to give it your time and space and not just hurrying on with life, hurrying on with jobs and busyness and just hoping the kids catch up at some point. It meant we could be really intentional.
And what about for you 2 creating a relationship together for your couple time? How was that with having 6 children in the house and everything that was going on? Was that smooth sailing? Or?
Anyone with children knows it's a challenge finding time, especially when they range from, at that point, 5 to 15. You've got children who are awake first thing in the morning, you've got children who are awake last thing at night, and they're all clamouring for your attention in some shape or form in between. But we did get good at carving out little spaces and saying, do you know what, let's make sure we grab a cup of tea and 10 minutes, and the kids are watching TV, and we go, do you know what, give us 10 minutes. And even 10 minutes can be massive, can't it? You need it. Well, it's for Steve because he doesn't like to talk, so that's plenty of time, isn't it, darling?
Yes. Well, I don't need to talk with a wife like this. I'm the strong silent one, aren't I?
You're definitely the silent one.
Thank you, darling.
Were there any surprises along the road as you sort of were forming your relationship and embarking on marriage together?
It's a good question. I think some of the complications of step family are that there are so many other people involved that, as it is, you have all the jokes about in-laws and things, but suddenly you've got ex-in-laws and you have exes, and I think some of that complication, I don't think I'd anticipated that. I don't think I'd registered that there might be other people chipping in and commenting on us, how we're parenting, how we're doing everything, and actually that was really hard. In fact, that's probably something we're still journeying with and still trying to work out how to handle and not take things personally and just let, Steve's very, in fact, you're brilliant you're very, very good at kind of taking things, I'm trying to think what the phrase is I'm after, but you take things in your stride a little bit and you're very good at putting things in perspective, and I've got a habit of taking it all very personally, and it's all terribly wounding, and I must have done something terribly wrong, and how can I possibly fix it? And so Steve's been brilliant at helping me to get a little bit more resilient.
But it is hard, isn't it, when people say these horrible things, you think nothing can be further from the truth. And it is easier for me, I think, because your ex is, 10,000 miles away in a different continent, when I've got an ex-wife and an ex-mother-in-law and an ex-brother-in-law and all these people, minutes away with access to Facebook and Twitter and putting stupid stuff on. And you think, for goodness sake, when you're so kind and loving and
yeah, it's
nice.
It's hard, isn't it? And I think lots of people have experienced that time when people aren't being completely fair to you. But when it's that close to home, it's hard. That's hard. That's probably what's blindsided me.
And how did you cope with that together?
The way that we've coped with it, I'd say, is just by always making sure that we've got the other one's back. And I think that not letting, no matter what else happens and what else somebody says to us, that we always come back together and talk about it. And we're still honest with each other. If we think one or the other has done something that perhaps could have been done differently, we'll say so. But I think at every stage we've avoided going, oh, well, if you hadn't have done that, and I think that's one of the most critical things in any relationship when there's children involved, certainly, but definitely once there become all these extra people involved, is that you cannot afford to start criticising each other, certainly not publicly, and even together you've got to be so careful to be gentle with each other and just remember that actually this is the bond that sits right at the middle of the family, and it's critical that you keep this one tight no matter what else happens around it, because if you let everything else come in and rock the boat, well then the whole thing starts to falter. And I think, I think that's, we've worked really hard at making sure we stay close regardless of what else is going on around us.
And we are a good team, aren't we?
Yeah, we are.
And adversity does bring us together, doesn't it?
That's one of the things I find astonishing, actually, is that when we've had some really hard times, and I think in some of those hard times it'd be so easy to start, bickering, or because we're both hurting, we're both struggling, but actually we've found that by coming together and supporting each other, every time we just come out stronger, which is lovely.
And what about, you said how busy you are and that you go on the road and do your shows and you've got the 6 children. And how do you make that work for you guys? How do you carve out that time? You said sort of grabbing the odd, few minutes here and there, but how do you invest in your relationship with all that going on around you?
So our whole life is dictated by Google Calendar. That's how we stay organised, because I travel, he travels, I work, he works, we do all these different things. The children, as you can imagine, they're all at different clubs and things, and that's how we make sure we actually pick them up. But within that then, we do try and make sure that every day there's time to go and just sit. We've got a conservatory, close the door, close the door, have a cup of tea, talk about what's happened in our day, and just share those brief, and it might be 5 minutes, might be 10 minutes, so occasionally it stretches. And then we've got time, when we go, do you know what, we are going to go, for us, we like to watch a good box set. So we'd have box set time as well, which isn't chatting particularly, but it was definitely not chatting because I'd get in trouble. But it's going and watching something together that we've chosen to watch together, and it's snuggling up on the sofa and saying, do you know what, let's just have this out. This hour's our hour. It's after the kids have gone to bed, and it's just, that's nice.
And we are into going away, aren't we?
Oh yeah, whenever we can, which isn't very often when you've got to organise 5 children, or 6 children. Well, we've got 5 living at home now. But we do try and get away once or twice a year, don't we? Just the 2 of us, even if it's just for a night, even if we leave at 6 o'clock in the evening, get back at 10 o'clock in the morning, but to have just a night.
Your night.
A night when there's nobody, there's nobody to put to bed, there's nobody who needs homework done, or help not done. Clearly we don't do our children's homework for them, but we don't need help, who doesn't need, hasn't got a crisis, and we just have 12 hours or so of going, do you know what, this could be like an actual date without children. This can just be fun. That's important time.
Very much so.
And if there's someone listening and perhaps they are about to embark on a second marriage and bring children into that family, or perhaps they're already in that scenario but they're struggling to make time for each other, or they're finding the pressures on their couple relationship, what advice would you give from your experience of what you've been through about like what has helped you to stay sane and for this to be an adventure and for you to find yourselves as each other's rocks in the middle of it?
I think planning in some time to be together is really, really important. That would be one of my big ones.
And I would say creating moments. I've got this saying that I think I've come up with, I'm sure I haven't, because I've been saying it for so many years, particularly in relation to kids, that kids don't remember days, they remember moments. And creating moments. And I think for us as well, little moments. And I've not always got it right, have I? Like a little surprise. No. Tell them about Neil Diamond.
There's a story there.
Tell them about Neil Diamond.
Neil Diamond. It was my birthday. And I'd had this very big build-up of the treat that Steve had planned.
But she's going to love it.
That I was going to love it. It was going to be absolutely amazing. And I wasn't allowed. He actually hadn't let the kids in because he wasn't sure he could trust them.
I told Amber, who was our oldest daughter.
She didn't understand quite what it was we were going to. And anyway, so I dressed up and we went out. And I'd imagined, because I dropped lots of hints about loving, West End musicals and things like that. And then I realised we were not going in that direction. So that was okay because I was going to love it. And we rocked up, and it was this.
She's going to love this.
I can't even. What was it called? Neil Diamond's.
Well, if I kind of backtrack, three of my favourite things: Brian Conley, the comedian, is a pal of mine, hilarious comedian. Love Neil Diamond. I love circuses. So I heard Brian Conley was touring in a Neil Diamond tribute act show, similar to Mamma Mia, but set in a circus, travelling circus, and it was at Goodwood. And I heard him interviewed on Steve Wright in the afternoon, and I thought she's going to love that. Her birthday. Was it birthday? Was it anniversary?
She's going to love. No, it was my birthday.
Oh, that's right. So it's a great surprise.
Yeah, and the only Neil Diamond's. I only know one Neil Diamond song.
Oh, darling.
Well, that was the truth, and it wasn't really like Mamma Mia because in Mamma Mia there's a story.
There was a story. It was in a circus.
Yeah, I didn't really work that bit out though. But the whole thing, I just got that. I went, oh,
not your thing.
And do you know what? It was lovely to be out, and it was lovely to be together, and it was lovely to have dressed up and gone and done something because that's not something we get to do very often. But the truth is, that was a treat for you, wasn't it?
Yeah. But I have learned, and I've got much better.
Last year he got it spot on. He was brilliant.
Last 2 years.
Yeah.
Your birthday.
Oh, yeah, no, that's
big
true.
Birthday. So creating little moments that you never feel. Well, you've not forgotten about it.
Like,
We're
no,
talking
I haven't
about
forgotten
it.
about
Care
it.
for the family.
I know.
Certainly
It's
a
a
memory.
moment.
It's just but
There was a moment.
It was a moment, and it was a lovely moment because you
Yeah.
had gone all out, just forgotten to ask me what I'd like.
And I had a whale of a time.
And I did. I enjoyed it. It just was funny. I thought,
Yes.
Now, on the challenge, every month we set our listeners a challenge. Have you got a challenge that you would be happy
Yes,
to set
I
us?
have selected this. When you get in, have a kiss.
Yeah.
Forget about the kids, forget about the dog. Say hello, but go and have a kiss. Just a little kiss. Haven't got to be a big kiss.
But just a kiss, isn't it?
Kiss.
To say hello.
And
to
connect.
say,
Just
I
say
love
hello,
you.
I've missed you.
I've come home.
I'm back.
It's nice to be with you. I mean, you're brilliant. When I get home, you'll often come out the front door to find me and give me a kiss, which is just nice. And I think it tells everyone you're really important. Mum's important. It tells me I'm important. And it lets everyone know that actually this relationship sits at the heart of everything.
And slightly optional, you can shout if you're a man, honey, I'm home.
That makes me feel better.
That is optional.
and then you may respond with the rolling eyes, but that's fine, yeah.
That's fine too. Excellent. We haven't had a challenge like that, so I like that. So our challenge is to every time you reconnect at the end of the day to have a kiss as the first thing that you do.
Yeah, definitely.
And if you want to try it at home and let us know how you get on, let us know on our Facebook page. Well, that's all we've got time for this marriage challenge, but do join us again next month. And if you want to sign up for regular news and updates about the marriage challenge, then do go to our website, careforthefamily.org.uk, and you can get 20% off your next purchase on our online bookshop. So until then, it's just for me to say thank you so much to Rebekah and Steve for joining us and for speaking so honestly about your relationship. Thank you very much and goodbye.
You have been listening to the Marriage Challenge podcast. For further information about our courses, resources and events, visit us at www.careforthefamily.org.uk.